what's new, crew, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Cassandra, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys basically some tips and tricks on how I'm going to be keeping my kids from eating me out of house and home as they exit school and they're just home all summer long. Just for background, if anyone's new, I am a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 kids. All 3 of them are 6 and under. So maybe if you have teenagers or older kids and you're listening to this going, some of those tips aren't realistic for me, that's totally okay. It just is what it is. But this is what I'm doing, this is what I've done in the past, and what I'm going to continue to do heading into summer, basically just to stop my kids from eating constantly, because I know especially like when you're bored or there's not a lot going on, we tend to eat just to do something or whatever. But these are my tips and tricks. I have a list here in front of me, so let's go ahead and hop in. My first tip is probably actually the most important one, and that's to focus on making sure your kids are actually eating whole foods. And by like real whole foods, I mean things like apples, oranges, watermelons, real from the earth food. Right around with eating whole foods, I highly recommend anything with oats in it or peanut butter, because those are really filling foods. Peanut butter just has a ton of protein in it, and the protein is what's going to help keep you full longer. So that's why I rely so much on peanut butter. My kids obviously do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like pretty much every single day in the summer. Also, we cut up apples and they'll dip them in peanut butter, sometimes Nutella or caramel. There's so much you can do with peanut butter, even when you're making cookies or homemade snacks. I love throwing peanut butter in them because it just adds a little boost of protein, and it helps keep my kids fuller longer. If we're not making homemade snacks, I like to do things like this, like these Nature Valley bars that basically are just a granola bar. Even you could do those chewy bars or things like that that have the oats in them. But any type of oatmeal granola bar. I also like these ones because they also contain peanut butter and things like that, so it's gonna help keep you full between the protein and the peanut butter and all of the oats. The other thing we do a lot are granola and yogurt. Yogurt is a really cheap snack also. I think right now at Walmart these ones are right around the $3 range. And then you can always make your own granola, but we like store-bought ones. This is something I think I'm gonna start making soon. Whole foods are just gonna keep your kids full longer. It's just how it works. There's a lot less sugar in them than things like fruit snacks or like those little Debbie cakes or anything like that. We all know that eating sugary things doesn't keep you full, like those sugary cereals and things like that. So you definitely cannot give your kid just a pack of fruit snacks and expect them to be full for that. Obviously they make nice snacks. I love to throw fruit snacks in when we go to the park or to the beach or something, but I can't just give my kid 1 pack of fruit snacks and then expect that to sustain them to the next mealtime. Which leads me kind of into this one, which is to avoid the junk. I'm not saying you can't have it. My kids eat that stuff. It totally is around, especially in the summer. We do popsicles and ice cream and fruit snacks and little bags of chips and like all the fun summer snacks. We definitely do those things. But those things are really expensive, so typically I'll buy those things. We will only eat like anything that comes in a wrapper and things like that when we're out and about. So like when we're doing beach days, when we're at the park, when we're going to like an amusement park or something. But trying to avoid or not relying on all those sugary snacks for your kids all the time, because they're not gonna hold them over. Next one is to set actual meal times to make sure that your kids, I know breakfast might be hard, especially if you have older kids or not. I remember what it was like being a teenager. Like me and my siblings did not all wake up at the same time. We didn't really care. We just kind of fed ourselves when we woke up. But because my kids are little, they're still earlier risers. They typically all wake up within like 45 minutes of each other. So I still make breakfast at the same time pretty much every single day. During the summer, I'd say probably 7:30, 8 o'clock. Somewhere within that half an hour, we're all at the table eating breakfast. Somewhere between 11 and 11:30 is typically lunch. And then we always eat dinner at 5 o'clock. So setting those meal times just helps get the kids' body on that schedule. They're gonna be hungry at the same time every single day, and they're actually gonna sit down and eat their meals because they're hungry. Because if you eat dinner at 6 o'clock for a week and then you try to push dinner up at 5, your kids probably aren't gonna be hungry because they're not used to eating for another hour. And then 6 o'clock is gonna roll around and they're gonna start asking you for snacks. And then you're gonna get really mad. Along with setting meal times is try to set snack times. This is the one that I think if people have older kids, they're gonna look at me and be like, yeah, okay, my try telling my 16-year-old son, like, no, it's not snack time. I totally get that, but because my kids are little, I can be like, hey, we'll all sit down and have a snack in like 15 minutes. Let's just hold off for a minute. But I typically set 2 snack times. We'll have a snack probably like 10 o'clock in the morning. My kids want a snack in between breakfast and lunch. And then typically we come in for the hottest parts of the day, which is usually like 1, 2 o'clock here where we live. And we'll all sit down, and that's when we kind of shut the blinds, get it dark in here. The kids all kind of have a little bit of relaxation. That's when I will get things done that I need to do inside, and they'll all sit down, either do tablets, coloring, you know, Play-Doh, like inside things, and while they do those things, they'll usually have a snack. And that's typically when we pull out things like oranges, apples. In the summer, they really like popcorn. So usually I'll pop like 2 bags of popcorn. The kids will eat popcorn, and maybe I'll cut up 1 apple and split it between the 3 of them. So they'll have popcorn and an apple, and then everyone can get, you know, a glass of juice or a thing of water, whatever they're wanting. And we all kind of ride out the hottest part of the day inside. My next tip would be to buy in bulk from either a Sam's Club, or I've even noticed my Walmart is starting to carry products in bulk that Sam's Club also carries. One of those things being big boxes of these granola bars like this. So I don't know, you could check your area if you don't have a Sam's Club membership and you're wanting to buy some things in bulk. Walmart, at least in my area, is starting to carry some of those things. So this box has 48 bars in it, and typically what I'll do, half of the granola bars up in my working pantry, the pantry that we eat out of every single day, and I'll take the other half and I'll store them separately downstairs in my basement on my food storage shelf. Because if I put 48 bars up in this pantry, all 48 bars will be gone probably within like a month, and I don't want to have to buy that box every single month. But if I only put half of them up in the pantry, for whatever reason my kids won't eat through them as fast. I think it's because they don't have as many available, so they're kind of rationing them. I'm not really sure. But buying in bulk and storing some of the bulk product separately from your working pantry works really, really well for me. I also do that when I buy those boxes of little chips. Typically I won't even store those up in my working pantry. That whole box of chips will probably be gone in 3 days. So I will typically take those, put them downstairs on my food storage shelf. My kids don't see them every single day, hardly ever actually. And then if we're going to the beach or something, I will bring everybody downstairs and everybody can pick 1 bag of those chips to put in the beach bag. Or if we're going to the park, everyone can pick a bag. And then the last thing would be definitely just to find some budget lunches that are filling, your kids like. Obviously, it's a lot easier to fill up my kids because they're all 6 and under versus teenagers. I totally acknowledge that. I have not entered that season of life yet. So if you are in that season of life, you can leave me some tips down below if you feel like sharing, or maybe for other people who are watching this video and they have older kids. But definitely just finding some budget meals that work for you, maybe things that you can prep in bulk for lunches and your kids can just heat up leftovers if they're old enough to do that on their own. I definitely do that. I'll make like 20 grilled cheeses on a Sunday, and then we'll all just eat like grilled cheese for a couple of days during the week for lunch, or quesadillas or something. My kids love those. Super cheap, super easy. And then I guess the really last thing I'm going to say is, if you are doing excursions or hikes, walks, trails, whatever your family is into. I keep mentioning the beach because that is my kids' favorite place to be in the summer. We go probably twice a week, maybe more sometimes in the summer. I always bring a cooler. I always bring a bag full of snacks. So I guess my kids' favorite beach snacks would definitely be the bags of little chips. I always, always, always pack sandwiches. I will link one of the videos down below I did last summer. I did like a kids' lunch meal prep, and I made a ton of freezer mini bagel pizzas, a ton of homemade Crustables with peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and Nutella, and I can specifically those sandwiches, grab them straight out of the freezer, put them in my cooler, and by the time the kids want to eat them while we're at the beach or at the park, whatever it is, usually they're like still half frozen, or they're still really cold at least. And The kids love eating the cold sandwich, especially on the hot day. It feels so nice. The sandwiches are really, really good. I will link down below my CRUSTABLE maker that I got from Amazon. Not an affiliate link, just a regular old link. But we use it almost daily in the summer and kids' lunches and stuff. It's awesome. I love it. Also, we will buy a watermelon. I'm looking over there because I have a huge watermelon. We buy watermelons about once a week in the summer, and those always go to the beach with us. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. 'Cause I've been living life right like